I'll let people in.
We'll just get started in just a minute. Let's see if anybody else is going to trickle in.
If possible, if people want to post in the chat what unit or department or faculty they're with, that would be really helpful.
As people start getting, being able to do that, so that's wonderful. I just wanted to really thank everybody for making time out of your day to join us today. My name is Lindsay, and I'm the Manager of Employee Wellbeing here at Western. We are so pleased and fortunate to have two of our Western colleagues provide us this 30-minute introduction to safeTALK and ASIST. This introduction will provide an overview of the programs and also guide us to resources and training that are available online because of the current health and safety limitations regarding programs being offered in person. Before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the sacred land on which we Western and within our Western community are privileged to live and work on. I recognize the deep connection and the long-standing relationship between Indigenous peoples and the land of Southwestern Ontario and of London, and I pay respects to their elders of the past, present, and future. This land and the others' lands that you join us from has supported human beings for at least the past 10,000 years. This land that we're on right now is traditional territory of Chippewa of the Thames, the Adenoi of the Thames, and the Delaware Nation. I acknowledge that this is just the beginning of a process, and I am committed to a continued journey of listening, learning, and remembering what historical and existing power dynamics between settlers and Indigenous people on the different lands that we're all on right now, the land on which I am able to eat, laugh, love, live, and learn on each day. And so with this, I would like to also take a moment to introduce our speakers for today. So with us, we have Rebecca Smith, who is a dedicated student affairs professional with nearly 20 years of experience at Western University. She has enjoyed working with students, staff, and faculty across campus. Rebecca is an engaging facilitator delivering living work suicide awareness and intervention trainings to a wide range of audiences across the province. She is a certified safeTALK and ASIST trainer and sits on the London Middlesex Suicide Prevention Council. In addition, Rebecca is a certified Clifton Strengths coach who has experience working with diverse individuals and groups. Her passion is helping others thrive by utilizing their strengths. And we also have with us today is Leslie Gloor-Duncan, who is approaching her 19th year here at Western. She's been part of a student experience team since the starting of her career here in student affairs. She became an ASIST trainer 4 years ago and has trained more than 300 students, staff, and faculty at Western University. She's an executive member of the London Middlesex Suicide Prevention Council and is a Lunkin Optimist member and the co-chair of the PMA Negotiations Committee. She's a mom of two teenagers and 2 geriatric dogs. So without further ado, I want to pass things over to Rebecca and Leslie. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lindsay, and thanks for Rebecca for joining me. We just wanted to start off briefly with a couple introductions, not just about ourselves, but also it's great to get a sense of who we have with us today. So thank you so much for popping sort of what department or unit you're from in the chat. It's really helpful to get a better understanding of who's with us in the meeting today and a little bit about your background. Both Rebecca and I were fortunate enough to take the ASIST Train the Trainer together 4 years ago. I actually pulled our records, and it was almost to the day that we graduated as initial trainers, and now we've become master trainers through the Living Works program for ASIST. And as was stated in Rebecca's introduction, she also is a safeTALK trainer. So you're going to hear a little bit more about both safeTALK and ASIST today, as well as some of the other training opportunities with LivingWorks. And so I'll just sort of forward the slide here so you can get a sense of the agenda that we plan to cover. And just bear with me one moment. My computer is acting up just a little bit. There we go. So I've advanced the slides. So we've done some introductions. I do want to cover just a little bit about LivingWorks in just a moment. But interestingly enough, LivingWorks as an organization is Canadian. It is an organization that was born out of a partnership at the University of Calgary and some community leaders in suicide intervention and prevention and social workers. And so it initiated in this sort of tiny bubble of a campus, but it is a worldwide organization now, and they lead trainings throughout the UK, Australia, the US, Canada, obviously, and many other destinations, and training is available in multiple languages as well in those regions. So in terms of, some of the principles of LivingWorks, I think one of the things that both struck Rebecca and I as being long-standing staff members at Western was we were having these conversations prior to us receiving any formal training. We were sort of forced into this space of what is often discomfort, and the less prepared you are, the least prepared you are, the more challenging those conversations are. And we felt in many ways that, we didn't want to do any harm, right? And I think that's what causes people to perhaps avoid difficult questions or difficult conversations, because people don't want to make things worse. What I think both of us found when we discovered safeTALK and ASIST is that the principles are very much that anyone with a willingness and a desire to help can be trained to assist and to help. And so I think for us as student affairs practitioners and professionals, we found the training incredibly helpful initially when we were receiving it for our own use and our own sort of day-to-day work. And then when we became trainers ourselves, where we could bring this training to campus to a variety of stakeholders, including students, staff, and faculty, we have been really, really overjoyed with the response that the campus has had. Because again, a lot of people who have taken the trainings have realized that, wow, there is a role for me to play in this. I don't have to be a counselor or a mental health practitioner in my day-to-day world in order to help. And so that's really some of the founding principles with LivingWorks, is that if you are a concerned community member, however you want to take that definition, you can gain skills and gain language that can help with this challenging subject, and suicide is everyone's business. And so that first slide where we're working towards suicide safer communities, this is really what the goals are of the LivingWorks organization. And so I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca, who's going to share a little bit more about safeTALK for those of you who may not be aware of safeTALK.
And so, as Leslie said, in our day-to-day interactions, mainly with students, but sometimes colleagues, other faculty, staff, we found ourselves in situations where we were having these conversations. And it's not just us, it is happening across campus, right? That wherever, there's connection with other human beings, there's this opportunity for us to, maybe know when something's not right and to do something about it. In almost my 20 years on campus and working at Western, one thing that I've always thought that made, Western so special is the people, right? Not just the students, but that whole community that make Western what it is, bring that essence of caring and community. And like caring, kind, people wanting to help, sometimes we avoid helping when it's a situation such as suicide. It's a pretty serious topic, and serious outcomes potentially. And so, at least for me, first being trained in these programs, but then becoming a trainer and sort of seeing individuals, take on these skills and have this willingness. What I've also seen is this confidence and comfort that comes with having a framework that you can lean into when the stakes are high. And so what I also like about safeTALK and sort of like the scaffolding, if you will, of the trainings from LivingWorks is that we really go with this idea that for most of us, we're having these conversations not through our professional lenses. I mean, in terms of our professional work that we do day to day. And so this idea that anyone can learn skills and be a helper. But depending on sort of your willingness, your role, your comfort, you might choose safeTALK to gather some of those suicide alertness skills. Maybe some of those, really two simple things. The 3-hour safeTALK training hopes that you will leave feeling more willing, comfortable, and able to identify when thoughts of suicide could be on the table. So to know potentially if something wasn't right. So having that ability to identify, to notice behaviors, situations, whatever the case may be. And then sort of that second goal, and I think for many people, could be that sort of life-saving goal, is connecting those individuals who you have identified and spoken with and do have thoughts of suicide, connecting those individuals with the right kind of resources. Individuals, other helpers in our community that are trained to be a suicide first aid resource. And so again, 2 goals, identifying and connecting. And as I mentioned, it's a half-day program. It's 3 hours in length. We have offered this program several times since 2015 to the campus community, and we've touched hundreds, maybe even thousands now of faculty, staff, and students. So you're in great company being here today, wanting to learn more about these programs. In addition to those 2 main goals of identifying and then connecting those who are having thoughts of suicide with helping resources, other things that we will learn in the safeTALK are the talk steps. So 4 steps that sort of give you structure to working through the situation with an individual. So again, that identifying piece, being able to discuss and explore different ways people might communicate to us that thoughts of suicide are on the table. We talk about how we can then go from sort of recognizing that something's not right to actually having a conversation about this sensitive subject. So how to ask about suicide. We also discuss that important step of listening to that individual. And then, as I mentioned before, some different ways that we can connect them with the right kind of resources, whether on our campus or in our broader community. And so we actually hope that we'll be offering safeTALK and ASIST in late summer or fall, but we can't predict it. But I'll turn it over to Leslie.
Thanks, Rebecca. So as you're now learning, safeTALK is a 3-hour half-day program, whereas ASIST sort of takes the underlying principles, so that alertness piece, and then translates it more into an intervention. And so individuals who may wish to take ASIST need to set aside 2 full days. It is a very interactive workshop. And again, like safeTALK, it can only be offered in an in-person environment. Neither safeTALK or ASIST can be offered online or in a virtual setting due to safety reasons for the participants and the trainers too. And so that's just something to highlight. And Rebecca mentioned, we're very excited to move back into training in person. And we do hope that perhaps by late summer or early fall, we can be looking at setting dates and allowing for people to register again in both safeTALK and ASIST. So ASIST stands for Applied Suicide Intervention Skills. And so it's a program that takes sort of those founding principles that safeTALK teaches and really breaks it down into what might be necessary to engage in an intervention with a person who is having thoughts of suicide. And so, as I said, it's extremely interactive. It is, working with participants to learn how to recognize their own attitudes around suicide, as well as society's attitudes around suicide. And we sort of break that down and talk through that, because certainly our own attitudes and beliefs factor in how we might help somebody. And so we work through that. We also look at appreciating the value of integrating and improving suicide prevention resources in our communities. And so that's really, again, where Living Works focuses, creating these spaces where there's suicide safer communities, and really ASIST is built upon that. And then recognizing towards the end of the 2 days, we talk about how this plays out in different settings. So in a workplace setting where maybe like Western, we have a large body of professionals right on staff, right? So we have the wellness team for human resources, we have the students facing wellness and counseling and staff available on our campus. And so in some cases, we also need to be very much aware of, in different settings, how we might use the skills of ASIST and safeTALK as well. And so we take time to unpack that and ensure that people are thinking through what this might look like, whether it's being used in a personal setting, in a professional setting, et cetera, and know that that can change over time. So it's really important for people to get very clear on what their roles are. So that's something to think about. But ASIST, as mentioned, we've done probably, I would hazard a guess, about 13 or 14 sessions on our campus. And oftentimes we are bringing in a third trainer because there's such an interest in people gaining these skills. And so it's really great to see the uptake and the interest from the Western community to gain more experience. And so this slide is really sort of highlighting some of the different training programs and training opportunities that exist through Living Works. And so, it's to represent that idea of a community and who are the people around that might be able to support individuals who may be having thoughts of suicide. And so again, we can be surrounded by individuals who have ASIST, which are the green sort of cross symbol. We have individuals who have safeTALK potentially, as well as the Living Works program, or the Living Works organization did also initiate an online START module, which is available, and we can share the link for that maybe in the chat. But Living Works START is I would say a very condensed version, a precursor to safeTALK. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rebecca may be searching for the link to post it in the chat. So expect that it'll appear in the chat momentarily, but it is something that we've been able to share, especially with our student leaders this past year in the virtual environment. because many of our student leaders that work front lines with orientation and things like that will typically have safeTALK training. And this year we were unable to do that. And so many of the softs and orientation leaders were able to at least take the Living Works Start program and have some of those basic skills that that the START program avails to students. And so staff can also take that, and it is something that, again, was newly developed pre-COVID, thankfully, because it gave individuals an option to do some training in this area. Rebecca, do you want to talk about some of the other initiatives that have been happening as well?
So the one thing that we were offering in person prior to the closure in March 2020 was the Leadership in Wellness program, a strengths-based approach. And we were offering that to student groups and sometimes faculty and staff, but because it was created at Western, we were able to offer that in the virtual setting as well. So that is one of those areas that we are able to train, and I have the description here, and we didn't make a slide for this one, but I'll read it to you. And my email is rebecca.smith@uwo.ca. If you're interested in signing up for our next online event, or maybe you have a group of colleagues that want to have a training together, we can organize that as well. And so the Leadership and Wellness, a strengths-based approach, is a 3-hour workshop that give you the tools to take a strengths-based approach to wellness in your role at Western, learn how to practice wellness in your daily life, promote wellness in your professional role, and refer individuals struggling with their mental health to professional support. By the end of the workshop, you'll be able to describe the elements of and challenge misconceptions about mental health and mental illness, apply tools and resources to identify students in distress, and support them in accessing appropriate mental health resources. So, you know, we have a variety of different options for you. Mainly, again, a lot of those in-person options will be coming out hopefully later this summer, but the Leadership and Wellness is something that we can offer in the virtual format.
Yeah, and Rebecca has been partnering with many different departments on campus, as well as the Center for Teaching and Learning, to offer that Leadership and Wellness. So I would recommend it. It's an excellent sort of placeholder, I think, for now, right, to be able to offer it virtually. I do also want to mention that some very experienced Living Works trainers took time to develop the ASK workshop. And this is one where we get a lot of questions, both in safeTALK trainings and ASIST. And when we're working with a variety of different audiences, we get questions about what about for younger populations, so children and youth. And the safeTALK and ASIST programs are meant to be used with individuals around the ages of 14 and up. ASK workshop is a short form for assessing suicide in kids. And so younger and younger populations can be deemed at risk, and certainly it's coming up more often than maybe previously. And so this workshop is offered both in a virtual setting as well as a face-to-face setting. And obviously right now, not as many face-to-face options. But if you have an interest in learning more about working with children and youth, or you know of someone who it might be beneficial, we did want to share that as an opportunity, because I myself have taken the workshop, and it's something that personally I would take again, just to ensure I'm feeling as confident as I possibly could. But it's meant for sort of children around the ages of 7 to about that 12, 13, early teen years. So it is certainly one that I would also let you know about and suggest. Then we've also just include, obviously, local organizations, their links. So we've got the CMHA Middlesex, The START program is listed there as well. And then, as was mentioned in our introductions, both Rebecca and I have joined the London Middlesex Suicide Prevention Council. And that's an organization that we're really looking to grow and revitalize in the London and Middlesex area, because certainly mental health and well-being is very top of mind for our communities right now. And we want to make sure that, you know, not just our Western community, but our broader community is feeling the support too. So we can open up to questions. And I think Lindsay, who's on the meeting as well, may have some opportunities that she can promote from Western's HR side of things. Lindsay, do you want to share?
Well, I actually am gonna bother Adam to come off camera and review some of the Living Well stuff that he's been working so hard on to modify in this kind of online environment that we're in, but also that there are a number of really great activities happening this week in honor of Mental Health Week. We acknowledge that this is not just a 1 week thing, but this is a really good way and a positive way to start these conversations. So I also want to, before passing it over to Adam to maybe review some of the Living Well resources, just also suggest, and maybe we can just pop it into the chat as well, the Living Well website as well, because that's where most of the activities and updates will be posted as well. And also, before, in case we don't get a chance, I really want to thank Rebecca and Leslie for taking time out of their day today. We are so fortunate, and I'm constantly blown away by not only the level of experience and opportunities we have in our ecosystem, which I love that term, and on our campus ecosystem, but also that we are so fortunate to be in an environment that allows these kinds of conversations to happen and facilitate these types of supports. So I see Adam's popped that into the chat with our website. So I'm just going to pass it over to Adam to go over some of the Living Well pieces.
Thanks, Lindsay. And thanks, Rebecca and Leslie. That was wonderful. Yeah, so the Living Well at Western program has been in existence for, I think, since 2015, but I came in around 2017. And we offer a lot of lunchtime activity classes. So things like meditation and Zumba and yoga. And we understand and recognize that in this environment, it's hard for people to kind of set aside that time during the lunch hour. There's a lot of conflicts with meetings or with your children if you're doing the remote learning. So those sessions are also recorded, so they can be viewed at any point in time. We've also tried to kind of deviate or add more to what's available. So we have an Art After Dark workshop that we've run a couple times now and has been well attended and well received. And we understand that a lot of people weren't even aware that this existed. So we did record those sessions. So it's something that you could do with your family or you could do with your team. And there's also some music coffee houses that we've done in the past that, again, those sessions are recorded. So you're more than welcome to check those out. The other thing I wanted to mention too is that there are 10-minute wellness break videos. So we talk about being proactive and trying to build wellness into our day. And I think it's something that, you know, every one of us should step away from the computer at some point in time during the day to get in some exercise, or whether it's just even doing some deep breathing, find something that you enjoy. And there's a bunch of 10-minute videos that are available for people. So that's pretty much it for the Living Well at Western program. And of course, we also have our LifeWorks, our EAP. So that's something that people can also use as a resource.
So thanks, Adam. And I'm mindful of everybody's time because I know that time is something little people don't have excess of. So I want to make sure that you're out of here at 4. But just also wanted to remind you, as if you visit the website, there's also kind of a review of the current 30-day coping challenge as well through LifeWorks. And I believe today's the last day for sign up, maybe. But for me, it's just a good reminder that I need to work on things like self-talk or like negative self-talk and things like that. So excited to see where that takes me in 30 days. So again, appreciate everybody's time. And if there's anybody else, Leslie has just mentioned that she's volunteering her very precious time, and she will stay for a few minutes afterwards. So again, thank you so much, Leslie and Adam and Rebecca.
Thanks for having us. And we look forward to seeing people in person for training in the future.
One day, one day.